Embarking on a spiritual journey is one of the most profound experiences a person can undertake. It is a path of deep introspection, personal growth, and transformation that challenges one's existing beliefs and habits. As individuals delve deeper into their spiritual awakening, they often find themselves having to let go of certain habits, mindsets, and attachments that no longer serve their higher purpose. This process of shedding old layers is crucial for the development of a more authentic and enlightened self. In this essay, we will explore the various aspects of this spiritual journey, focusing on the key habits and mindsets that must be released, the challenges encountered, and the profound growth that follows. Letting go of taking things. Personally, one of the first shifts that occur during a spiritual awakening is the realization that not everything is about you. Spiritually awakened individuals learn to stop taking things personally, understanding that most of the time, what others say or do reflects their perspectives, feelings, or experiences rather than being an accurate reflection of who they are. This shift in perception is crucial, as it allows individuals to step back from situations that might have previously triggered strong emotional reactions. Instead of reacting immediately and emotionally to what others say or do, awakened individuals develop the ability to respond with clarity and calmness. They recognize that their emotions are under their control and refuse to allow others to manipulate their emotional state. This new approach does not mean that they become indifferent. Rather, they learn to maintain a balanced perspective, which helps them navigate through life's challenges without unnecessary stress. By not taking things personally, spiritually awakened people can see situations more objectively. They focus on the facts and the bigger picture instead of getting lost in emotional turmoil. This shift in mindset leads to better decision-making because they are not clouded by anger, frustration, or hurt. They can evaluate situations based on their true nature without being influenced by personal biases or emotional reactions, shifting from blame to responsibility. Another significant change that occurs during a spiritual awakening is the shift from blaming others to taking responsibility for one's own actions and experiences. This change in perspective is crucial for personal growth and self-awareness. When individuals stop blaming others, they begin to understand that their reactions, choices, and behaviors are within their control. They recognize that playing the blame game only keeps them stuck in negative patterns, preventing them from moving forward in life. Taking responsibility means acknowledging that they have a role in everything that happens in their lives, whether it's a challenging situation or a conflict with someone else. Instead of pointing fingers at others, they focus on what they can do to improve or change the situation. This approach helps them grow and learn from every experience. Instead of seeing themselves as victims of circumstances, they view each situation as an opportunity to gain insight and become better versions of themselves. This mindset also helps spiritually awakened individuals to develop a deeper sense of self-awareness. By taking responsibility, they start to see how their thoughts, actions, and emotions contribute to the outcomes they experience. This awareness empowers them to make conscious choices that align with their true values and goals, rather than reacting impulsively or out of habit. When they take responsibility, they reduce the negativity in their lives. Blaming others often leads to feelings of anger, resentment, and frustration, which can create a toxic environment both internally and externally. By taking ownership of their actions, they are able to let go of these negative emotions and focus on positive, constructive solutions. This shift not only improves their mental and emotional well-being, but also positively impacts their relationships with others, releasing the need for external validation. As people become spiritually awakened, they stop seeking validation from others. They begin to understand that true self-worth comes from within, not from external sources. This shift is essential for personal growth and inner peace, as it frees them from the constant need to be approved by others. When individuals rely on external validation, their sense of self becomes dependent on the opinions, judgments, or approval of those around them. This dependency can lead to insecurity and anxiety because they are always looking for someone else to confirm their value. However, spiritually awakened people realize that no one else can truly define their worth. They understand that relying on others to validate their choices, appearance, or actions only limits their personal freedom and growth. Instead of seeking approval from others, they turn inward and learn to trust their own intuition and judgment. This internal validation comes from a deep understanding and acceptance of who they are. They recognize their strengths, acknowledge their weaknesses, and embrace their individuality. This self-awareness allows them to make decisions and live their lives according to their own values and beliefs, rather than trying to fit into someone else's expectations or standards. As they stop seeking external validation, they also let go of the fear of judgment. They no longer worry about what others might think of them because they are confident in their own self-worth. This newfound confidence allows them to express themselves more authentically and live more freely. They become less concerned with pleasing others and more focused on being true to themselves. Overcoming fear, spiritually awakened individuals make a conscious decision to quit living in fear. They recognize that fear can be a major barrier to personal growth and fulfillment. By letting go of fear, they open themselves up to new possibilities and a more meaningful life. Fear often stems from the unknown or from past negative experiences. It can create a constant state of anxiety, where individuals worry about potential outcomes or dwell on what might go wrong. Spiritually awakened people understand that living in fear only limits their potential and keeps them from fully experiencing life. They begin to shift their focus away from fear and towards trust. Trust in themselves, in the universe, and in the natural flow of life. One of the key aspects of quitting fear is embracing the present moment. Spiritually awakened individuals learn that fear is often rooted in future uncertainties or past regrets. By focusing on the here and now, they reduce the power that fear has over them. Living in the present allows them to respond to life's challenges with clarity and calmness, rather than being paralyzed by fear of what might happen. Another important shift is the move from fear to love. Spiritually awakened people understand that love is a much more powerful and positive force. They start to make decisions based on love, compassion, and understanding rather than fear and insecurity. This shift in mindset leads to more positive experiences and relationships, as they are no longer driven by fear, but by a desire to connect and grow. Letting go of fear also means stepping out of their comfort zones. Spiritually awakened individuals recognize that growth often requires taking risks and facing uncertainties. By quitting the habit of living in fear, they become more willing to embrace change and explore new opportunities. This doesn't mean that fear disappears completely, but they learn to acknowledge it without letting it control their actions or decisions. Detaching from materialism. When individuals experience spiritual awakening, they often find themselves moving away from materialism. This shift is rooted in the realization that true fulfillment does not come from accumulating possessions, but from cultivating inner peace and personal growth. Materialism is the belief that acquiring more things, whether it be money, clothes, gadgets, or other physical items, will lead to happiness and success. However, spiritually awakened people come to understand that this belief is an illusion. They recognize that material possessions, while sometimes useful, do not provide lasting satisfaction. The joy they bring is often temporary, leading to a never-ending cycle of wanting more. This understanding leads spiritually awakened individuals to reassess their relationship with material goods. They begin to prioritize experiences, relationships, and personal development over the pursuit of more stuff. Instead of seeking happiness in external objects, they focus on finding contentment within themselves. This shift doesn't mean they completely reject all material things, but rather they become more mindful of what they truly need versus what they have been conditioned to want. As they move away from materialism, spiritually awakened individuals often simplify their lives. They realize that a cluttered life filled with unnecessary possessions can be a source of stress and distraction. By letting go of excess, they create space for more meaningful activities and connections. This simplification leads to a greater sense of freedom and clarity, as they are no longer burdened by the constant desire for more. Forgiving and letting go of grudges. Spiritually awakened individuals often make the choice to stop holding grudges. This decision is rooted in the understanding that holding on to anger or resentment harms them more than it affects the person they are upset with. Letting go of grudges is a crucial step in their journey towards inner peace and emotional freedom. Holding a grudge means carrying negative emotions towards someone for something they did in the past. This can lead to feelings of bitterness, anger, or even hatred. Spiritually awakened people come to realize that these emotions do not serve them. Instead, they weigh them down, creating unnecessary emotional burdens. By choosing to release these feelings, they free themselves from the negative impact of these emotions. Letting go of grudges is not about condoning the actions that cause the hurt. It's about recognizing that holding on to these negative feelings only prolongs the pain. Spiritually awakened individuals understand that forgiveness is not about excusing the behavior, but about freeing themselves from the emotional hold it has on them. They realize that when they forgive, they are not letting the other person off the hook. They are simply choosing not to carry the burden of anger and resentment any longer. Forgiveness in this sense becomes an act of self-care. Spiritually awakened people prioritize their own emotional well-being by releasing the negativity associated with grudges. They understand that holding on to these feelings can lead to stress, anxiety, and even physical health issues. By letting go, they create space for positive emotions like love, compassion, and peace to enter their lives. Another important aspect of this process is the realization that everyone is imperfect, including themselves. Spiritually awakened individuals recognize that people make mistakes, sometimes unintentionally causing harm. They develop a sense of empathy, understanding that everyone is on their own journey and dealing with their own struggles. This empathy makes it easier for them to let go of grudges and extend forgiveness, detaching from the ego. A major aspect of spiritual awakening is the shift from living through the ego to connecting with the higher self. The ego is the aspect of our personality that identifies with our thoughts, beliefs, and experiences. It is often driven by the need for recognition, control, and superiority. The higher self, on the other hand, is the aspect of our being that is connected to a greater spiritual reality, one that transcends the limitations of the ego. Spiritually awakened individuals come to realize that the ego can be a major obstacle to true spiritual growth. The ego often creates a false sense of identity based on external factors like success, appearance, and social status. This identity is fragile and constantly needs to be reinforced, leading to feelings of insecurity and anxiety. Spiritually awakened people begin to see through this illusion, understanding that their true essence is not tied to these external factors. By detaching from the ego, they start to connect with their higher self, which is more aligned with qualities like love, compassion, and wisdom. This connection allows them to see the world from a more expansive perspective, beyond the narrow confines of the ego. They begin to understand that their worth is not determined by their achievements or the opinions of others, but by their inner state of being. This shift also leads to a greater sense of inner peace. The ego is often the source of much of the turmoil in our lives, as it constantly seeks validation, control, and superiority. By letting go of the ego's demands, spiritually awakened individuals find that they are more content with themselves and their lives. They are no longer driven by the need to prove themselves or to compete with others. Instead, they are guided by a deeper sense of purpose and a desire to live in harmony with the world around them.